Hello. Welcome to our webinar from the Floor Covering Industry Foundation. I'm Andrea and Brittany is here with me today, and we're just going to cover some general information about our nonprofit. And also today, it is webinar style. So if you're joining us, you can engage in the Q&A. And I think the chat as well, and we will try to get your questions from there. But since we are a health-oriented charity, we wanted to kind of keep this pretty general information since we are recording. And of course, if you have personal questions, my contact information and Brittany's is at the end. But I'm Andrea Blackburn. I serve as Executive Director of the Floor Covering Industry Foundation. I've been here for 8 years, and Brittany has been with us for 4, and she's our outreach manager, and she works directly with our clients. But we're just going to walk you through a general overview of our charity today, how we help people, a little bit of our history, some tools and resources for how you can get the word out to others in the industry, and then, of course, answer any questions as well. But we do provide financial assistance for flooring employees and their household family members that have illnesses, injuries, and disabilities. Our website is fcif.org. And one thing you'll notice throughout our presentation today is we have a little QR code that goes to the take-home toolkit. And it's a great resource for you. It has lots of links to download resources. So I encourage you, while we're on the webinar today, to go ahead and scan that QR code, and so that you can look at the resources we prepared for you. On our next slide is a little bit more information about FCIF. We started back in the early 80s. The gentleman who was the then president of the Carpet and Rug Institute had a debilitating stroke, and leaders in our industry wanted a way to help that gentleman. And from that spark of compassion, our organization was born. It has had many homes in Washington, D.C., in Chicago, and Anaheim, California. And then in 2016, moved to the carpet capital of the world, where we are today, here in Dalton, Georgia. And through all of that, our organization has grown and expanded and helps people all across the country. On our next slide, we have a little bit more information about our grant criteria. One of the things that I really pride our organization on is that we really look at each individual case. You're not going to fill out a form and check the wrong thing, and we're just going to automatically say we can't help you. And we really look holistically at families and situations. We don't just say, oh, well, on your tax return from 2 years ago, it said XYZ, and that disqualifies you. We really look at what each family is going through at the moment. Many times people are not financially prepared for severe medical conditions, and we really are able to look into a family and really see how we can fill in the gaps where they are right now. But I will pass it over to my coworker, Brittany, who's going to walk you through our grant criteria and a little bit more about receiving a grant from FCIF.
Yeah, so on the previous slide, it had our 3 grant criteria listed out. So the first is, and the individual has to meet all 3 qualifications in order to qualify for financial assistance through us. So the first is the individual, either the individual or a household family member has to have 5 years of service to the floor covering industry. Those years do not have to be consecutive. They do, however, if the person who is working in the industry is not currently employed, then they must have left the industry within the past 5 years. If they left longer than 5 years ago, there are some exceptions due to retirement, if they retired from the industry, and then if they left due to a life-altering medical illness, injury, or disability. So as Andrea kind of stated previously, if it has been longer than 5 years ago, we kind of talk through that with our applicant and get some more information before we just flat out tell them they don't meet that qualification. The second qualification that they have to meet is the household has to be in extreme financial need. And the way that we look at that is we have them provide financial documents to us, such as their income information, household expense statements, some banking statements, and then tax returns. But as Andrea also mentioned, we don't have like a poverty guideline that we follow. It is all tailored to the household and what their current financial situation is in the moment in which they are applying for financial assistance. And then the third qualification, either the individual who is working in the flooring industry or a household family member must be currently going through a life-altering medical illness, injury, or disability in which they are currently being treated for by a physician. And so again, we look at what that individual is currently going through, and we base their criteria and their qualifications around that. But they do have to meet all three, and we work with them on kind of what their situation is. So the next slide talks about what our grants cover. We do focus on medical care and basic needs such as housing, utilities, and food. This page also kind of shows just some examples of what we help with. I'll go into more detail than what the slide shows. When it comes to medical care, that can be prescription costs, that can be medical supplies or medical equipment, such as if someone needs a ramp built to get into their home, like a wheelchair ramp, we can help with those costs. Or if they need some railings to get in and out of their shower, we can help with that also. Or if they needed therapy, we can potentially help with those costs. And then, of course, for housing, we help with mortgage payments and rent payments. And then there's the utilities that we help with also. Sometimes we help with food and transportation costs. It just depends upon the financial need that the household is in. So on the next slide, this is just a little small overview to give you a kind of an idea of who we have helped in the flooring industry. The roles that the individuals who apply vary, just as well as their medical situation is various as well. So for example, we've helped a criller who has breast cancer. We've helped an installer who has leukemia. There was a lift truck operator who was an amputee, and then there was a sales manager whose husband had lung cancer as well as a brain tumor. And then we had a shipping clerk whose daughter needed special therapy. So like I said, we help those household family members, not just the individual who is employed in the industry. Nice little hand claps there. So I'm going to pass it back off to Andrea, who's going to talk a little bit more about our grantees that we have helped. And some of them have been very gracious to share their stories with us and how the grant has really helped them in their time of need. So I'll pass it back off to you, Andrea.
Okay, thanks, Brittany. So on our website, under the stories tab, you can read about all different, we have board members, we have volunteers, and we have grantees who have all shared how FCIF has touched them. But also linked on our website is our YouTube channel. You can easily find, and there's a screenshot here. I'm going to attempt to give everybody not only a story, but a story with audio. So we trial run it. We think we're good to go. So I'm going to share my screen. And then this is Candy's. It is under 2 minutes. And I think you'll really enjoy hearing her story.
It was a sad time for me, for my family.
Let me start at the beginning. There we go.
My name is Candice. I'm a mother of 6, and I worked in the flooring industry for over 5 years. I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, and it was a sad time for me, for my family. I had to tell them the news, and that was like kind of hard for me to do. But we got past that. I went through my treatments, chemo, radiation, and I had a nurse. She was very nice to me. she told me that they can help me, and she helped me fill out the application um, so I can get approved to help me and my family because we were in need. Um, I mean, I'm grateful, to for y'all foundation. It helped me a lot. My family, we was in debt. I couldn't afford, pay my rent. Couldn't afford to pay my electricity, my car payments. It was like a disaster, and then I had to think about going through all the other things like being on time for treatments. There's plenty of times I felt like giving up, but with knowing that I have like financial help, kind of helped me out a little bit to take my mind off of things. Thank you to the Floor and Recovery Industry Foundation for helping me and my family. We really appreciate you a lot, and I just love y'all.
Okay, I'm like, wait for the end. That smile, it gets me every time. Oh, goodness. Let's see. I'm getting my YouTube I didn't click out of. Okay, there we go. Um, but Candice, her story really touches me. She is local here, and we were able to meet with her and chat, and she just was so grateful, and just a reminder of the emotional stress that our grantees are in. So we really rely on people like you who are working in the industry and can be a resource to others. So I thank you just for taking time out of your day to get on our session today to learn more about our organization. We're going to go through just a few things that you can use and kind of have in your back pocket. That way, the next time someone like Candice is in your circle, that you have our resources handy to pass off. So we're going to start with the report to the industry. That is what we call our annual report, and that's great just to educate other people, leaders in a company about it. We are in the process of refreshing that, but you can find that on our website. It's under our Give tab, and it's a great brochure. Several of you who I see are on the call probably have received this at industry events that you've been out for the foundation in the past year. But I'll just click through it really quick to show you the type of information we have in. It has our mission. Charlie Dilks from CCA Global is our board chair, so there's some words that he wanted to share, a note from me. And then some of the things Brittany talked about is in this brochure of what types of help we provide. And we actually pay for these things. So that's really cool. And then on the next page, we have just a chart of where we help people across the country. Of course, tons of people where kind of mimics the population in the United States, but also the footprint of the flooring industry. We have a ton of people that work in manufacturing as well. People always ask me, like, where do you get the money from? And we're very graciously supported by companies in the industry. We receive generous corporate gifts from a lot of the manufacturers, and then also across the country from distributors, from trade media, from retailers, from industry trade shows. And then we have several fundraisers that people engage with as well. I also wanted to share about WFCA provides donated services, which is a big part of us, as well as our CCA golf tournament every year. And then we recently had a gala, and that was a lot of fun, and also contributed to every year you see these big bumps, but they're not every year. So we have a gala about every 3 years. And then the next thing in our book, we just try to show, like, if you give it a certain level, what those donations could be used to buy in relation to helping people. So that's a really cool way to just see kind of where your dollars are spent. And then on the next book, our next page in the book, we have individual giving societies. That's another way to engage with FCIF is through getting involved in donation from corporate giving to individual giving. We have our Flooring Family Fellows, which is an individual giving society at the $500 level. And then on the next page, we have information. There's several pages of this that are, again, more stories about different people. It's really cool to see pictures of some of the clients and to read their stories, and also from our board members, just about the compassion that they bring to our organization as well. And then we also have in the book information about our board members, which you'll see listed out here. And then on the next couple of pages, there is information about our donor list. We always like to shout out people for supporting us and really appreciate all the companies that rally together to support others in the industry. The last 2 pages are just about our fundraisers, and our golf tournament is every year in September. It's at Barnsley Gardens in Adairsville, Georgia, and then we usually hold a gala every 3 years in New York City. So I encourage you, if you would like a hard copy of this book, reach out to us. We'll make sure that our new one we will send to you in the next month or so when it's published. And then I wanted to show you this real quick, the toolkit that we have. Again, you could scan on the PowerPoint that QR code, but we're going to bring it up on screen right now just to show you. The toolkit's really the best takeaway because it has links to all the other materials on it. I'll start on the right side. There's digital graphics. They're great for intranets, employee HR portals. The stuff on the left, QR codes. Candice's story that we heard today, there's a QR code directly to it. So that's a great way just to get information out. There's break room posters. We have an inquiry form, which is a 1-pager we have in Spanish and English that doesn't require any supportive documents. We use that just to kind of screen applicants to make sure that they don't go through the whole process of applying if their really situation isn't a good match. So we have the inquiry form on there and the full application. There's pledge cards. We'll scroll down a little. Our info sheet and grant steps I'm going to show you real quick today. We also have a screen like that was our opening slide for our PowerPoint today that you can put on break rooms. And then we have some standard social square graphics if you would like to have those to post as well. The next thing we're going to look at is our info sheet and grant sheet. These are great things to have along with our inquiry form to kind of those 3 I would put in a packet to give somebody that was interested in receiving assistance for us and trying to learn about if their situation was a good fit for our foundation. So this page it has, what we do and then a little bit of information about what we provide funding for at the bottom. And then the next one is our grant steps. It has 9 steps on it, which sounds like a lot to go through, but we really, really, really broke it down. So the first step is just learning about us and reading some information. To step 2 is like filling out the initial inquiry form. And then down, even the last thing is, like number 8's receiving your funding. So that one's a fun one. That's like, oh, you checked your mail and a check came from us. And number 9 is turning in, receipts and showing how you use the money. So we really kind of wanted to show everybody kind of the full start to finish of receiving assistance from us. And that really helps when Brittany's working with our clients about missing documents or that we are waiting on their medical records. It really helps break down for clients where they are in the process. And we're pretty quick on processing applications as long as we have all the materials that is requested. And then the last thing that we wanted to look at on here is I guess that was it on there. And then we talked about donating when we looked at the giving guide, but we really encourage you to think about ways that you can get our information out. I think that that's the biggest thing is we want people to know about us in their time of need. So we really rely on word of mouth and on people that are in our industry and in capacities where they can share that information with others. I am going to pause for questions, and you can use the Q&A function, or you can also use the chat as well. Let's see if anybody has anything. And while they do that, I will also say Brittany answers the phone every day when people call and have questions about if their situation qualifies. And she does a really great job of not only connecting applicants with how we can help them and walk them through the process, but also with connecting them with other resources that is either specific to where they live or is specific to their condition that they have. Every grant that we give out, we usually send at least 2 referrals to other organizations or programs that individuals can access. And we also spend a lot of time also making sure that people know what benefits that they have through their health insurance, or if they don't have health insurance, with talking through the process of how we can help them get on an insurance plan that really meets their needs. So we really try to make sure we're not only helping you through the money we have at FCIF, but we're also helping you with knowledge that we have about other organizations as well.
And I also just encourage our applicants, once they've completed the application and they're getting funds from us, I just continue to let them know that we are still here from them. Just because they're getting the money doesn't mean that they can't call and ask questions, because sometimes things come up, their situation changes, and so they call and ask different things of how their money can be spent and things of that nature, because all of that is laid out to them when they get their check, or when they are approved, I should say, for a grant.
So don't hesitate to give us a call. Our number is on the screen, and of course our email addresses. We would love to talk to anyone about how we can partner with you. And I don't see any questions today that we haven't already answered. So with this, we'll wrap it up, and thank you everyone for joining us today.